Hey Who fans, and welcome to the Big Blue Box podcast. My name's Gary.
My name's Adam.
And we're at episode 186.
Have you ever thought what it's like to be wanderers in the fourth dimension?
Nobody in the universe can do what we're doing.
I've reversed the polarity of the neutron flow, so the TARDIS should be free of the force field now.
There's no point in being grown up if you can't be childish sometimes.
The trouble with time travel is, one never seems to find the time.
Change, my dear, and it seems on a moment too soon.
Unlimited rice pudding, etc., etc.
I am the Doctor!
Great men are forged in fire. It is the privilege of lesser men to light the flame.
I'm the Doctor. This is Rose Tyler. She's my +1. Is that all right?
That would be me.
Hello, surprise!
Boom.
Etc.
I'm the Doctor. Do everything I tell you, don't ask stupid questions, and don't wander off.
How can you kidneys? I don't like the colour.
Howdy do Who fans, welcome to 186. Hope you've all had a cracking week and that you've managed to do something Doctor Who related. Coming up in today's show, we've got one piece of news at last.
Hey!
Yay.
Good news or bad news?
It's good news.
Okay.
Yeah, I would say so. Mm-hmm. It's good news, very good news. And then we've got some merch to go through. So the barren wasteland of news has got a little mirage pop up just in the middle that we can latch onto. And actually tell you nugget. Something. Yeah,
a little nugget of news, yeah.
How have you been, my good friend, this last week?
Not bad. Yes, I've done a couple of Doctor Who related things.
Spill.
I've been up to the Big Smoke, as we call it here in the UK. London. Why do we call it the Big Smoke? Been up to London and met with one of our listeners, one of our long-time listeners, Sammy Satine, all the way from Oz. She come over, especially to see me. No, she didn't, but she come over visiting. So we hooked up and went to FP, of course, because where else would I take a long-term listener than Forbidden Planet? Had a nice little time in there. Bought a few bits. Absolutely shocked to see, the new Target novels.
Oh yeah.
Doctor Who Target novels. They only had one. I think they released 5 different ones, didn't they?
Yes.
And they had one on the shelf. They had about 10 copies of it. And it was Rose. I thought, they've got Rose in stock. And as I got closer, I was like, hang on a minute. They're all signed by Russell. I can't believe it. So I picked up a signed Russell T. Davis copy of Rose, which I literally couldn't believe my eyes. I was thinking, wow. I can't believe it. Because they did a signing there, didn't they? Mm-hmm. And obviously he was the only one that signed enough because they didn't have any of the others. So that was pretty cool. I think Sammy got one as well, actually. Yeah, she did. Because we were looking through all of them because all the signatures were a little bit different. And in fact, some of them had just written RTDX. And then other ones he'd sort of written Russell and a T and Davis and a kiss. And so we were going through them like, right, got to pick a good one. I was thinking, I bet this is just like somebody in the shop's probably done these in the back room, Russell, RTD. So that was cool. What else did we get? I don't know, a few little bits. And then we had a look around. So that was all nice. And then back home, Series 9 soundtrack plopped through the letterbox.
No.
Caused chaos. Did you buy the physical thing?
No.
You did. I didn't because you're digital only, aren't you? So have you actually got the actual soundtrack? Have you bought the digital yet?
No, but it's on Spotify, so that's cool.
It's on Spotify, so you listen. Yeah, you listen to it. Yeah. It's not bad. It's funny because I woke up and I got mine from Amazon for the simple reason that they give you the auto rip, so you get the digital version for free, and I quite like that because the second it's released, it comes into my account. And then the physical thing will turn up a couple of days later. So I've got the best of both worlds. I mean, I can listen to it while I'm waiting for it, and it's a bit like the Big Finish thing. I love it when you get the digital download free. So I thought I'll get it from Amazon to get that. So Friday morning I wake up, it's in the account, and I'm listening to it, thinking, this is good. I like it. It's nice. And then because it's quite a long soundtrack, it's like. Is it 3 discs or 4? It's 4, isn't it? It does get a bit boring And I just kept thinking back to, like, you know, the Series 1 soundtrack and also the Series 4 soundtrack. They've got real standout tracks for me.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like, you know, like the Rose's theme and also, what's the Gallifrey? This is Gallifrey.
This is Gallifrey. Yeah.
Oh,
Veil Datum, Donna's theme. There's loads of good ones, yeah.
It's amazing stuff. And I was thinking, this is a very nice sort of background music soundtrack, but there's really nothing jumping out at me on this
I know
one.
what you mean, yeah.
And I, to be fair, I've only listened to it. I've given it a sort of a playthrough twice, so maybe, you know, over listens more will jump out at me. But yeah, I don't know. I did kind of feel like, you know, sometimes when we're reviewing, we say, yeah, Murray kind of going through the motions a bit this week with the music. I was getting that vibe. I was thinking, yes, it's all nice, it's all good, just nothing jumping out at me. But anyway, as I said, I might change your mind as I listen to it a bit more. But yeah, I know what you gasped when I said Series 9, because obviously I wasn't a very happy chap this week because when I ordered it, it was supposed to come as a limited edition, which come with a sort of slipcase and a separate booklet with all Stuart Manning's posters in it, which are gorgeous, aren't they? We both love Stuart Manning's. I got back from work and the parcel was there waiting for me. I was like, oh, excellent. I opened it. Out plops like the standard edition, no slipcase, no limited booklet. And I was furious. Absolutely furious. I was like, oh, blimmin' heck, Amazon. Oh, for goodness sake. So I got onto them. Anyway, to cut to the chase, it seems this has happened to everybody pretty much that's ordered it from Amazon. Anywhere else, like all the shops, like in H&V, they had about 10 copies on the shelf. They had all the limited one. Everywhere else has got the limited. But to be fair, I can't really lay this all at Amazon's feet because really it's Silver Screen, you know, isn't it? Because they're the supplier. And for whatever reason, they chose to give everybody but Amazon the limited one. And I was thinking, strange. That's a bit annoying. And yeah, so they've sort of got into a bit of a Twitter debacle with Silver Screen saying, you know, why didn't you give Amazon the limited one? That was the picture they were given.
Right. Okay.
So when you order it from Amazon, you assume you're going to get the one on the picture, right? You assume you're going to get the limited one. So yeah, it all turned a bit thing, and Amazon have actually withdrawn it now. They've obviously had so many people send it back because a lot of people were tweeting me saying, oh no, mine's just arrived from Amazon and it's not the limited, and it said it would be the limited, and we were all saying, yeah, I know, get onto Silver Screen. They didn't give them any, and Silver Screen said they gave them some. Probably gave them one. So yeah, so that was a bit disappointing. But anyway, long story short, it seems like Amazon have taken it off until they get it resolved with Silver Screen. And there's loads in the shop. So if you do want the limited one, just go to your local H&V or whatever. They all seem to have the limited one, and it is so much nicer. Mm-hmm. And it's the same price. So, you know, it's worth getting. And it's not a bad sound. It's nice to have Series 9 at last.
Yeah, it's okay.
Yeah,
yeah. I listened to it I think they loaded it on Spotify day before yesterday. So when that popped up, I was like, "Ooh, cool! I'll add that to the current Doctor Who library that I've got on there."
Yeah, actually, it's funny. Yeah, I was just gonna say the other thing I should say. The other reason I didn't get it from Silver Screen is because they were charging £7 postage.
Still, yeah.
On top of the full price. So, you know, like obviously Amazon HV, they discount it. I think it was like $13.99. And I can't remember how much it is on Silver Screen, but it's £7 postage for a CD. And I was thinking, I'm not going to pay that. That's ridiculous, you know. And I've just seen one of my friends today who did pay that just because he wanted to make sure he got the limited one, and it's arrived in a jiffy bag and it's all dented and broken. And he said, you know, he's going mad. He's like, you told me to order this from you because it's the only way to guarantee getting the limited, and it's arrived like this, and I've paid £7. And he's really unhappy. So doesn't look, it doesn't, it's such a shame because it's been such a long wait for this soundtrack, isn't there? We've waited blimmin' ages for Series 9, and it's taken the edge off for me, if you know what I mean. I'm so excited about it, and it's just ever since it's arrived, I've been like nothing but annoyed with it.
I know, mate. Yeah. I think that, that's one of the reasons why I didn't order this physically.
Yeah.
Really, is because, I mean, that whole £7 postage from Silver Screen it is a little bit much. I mean, I can't believe that it weighs enough to warrant £7 worth of.
Go and check out. I will retweet Phil's tweet showing you how it arrived. You know, it's from someone who paid it, and you just will be shocked.
Yeah,
I'll retweet it so everyone can see. Unbelievable.
And also, for me, it's only the first two discs that I would kind of listen to the most, because disc 3 is just Heaven Sent, which gets a bit boring after a little while.
Oh my God. Everyone's been like banging on about how good the Heaven Sent. Well, and I'm thinking, I don't know if I'm listening to what am I hearing?
I'm the same, mate. Yeah.
Is it's got this sort of accordion-y sound throughout it, and I find it really irritating. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about.
I know what
it's
you mean.
Not an accordion. I don't know what the instrument is, but it's like this harsh sounding instrument, and I think it's horrible, and it keeps coming in, and I'm like, oh,
it starts off okay though. It starts off okay. It's but then sort of halfway through, it just gets a bit samey, really, a bit mundane, and it picks up again at the end. But and then disc 4 is just all of the Husbands of River Song Christmas special, and that's just again, it's okay. Don't get me wrong, Murray's music is beautiful, but it I don't know. So overall, it's not. But then we should know this already, because Series 9's not exactly.
I know.
It didn't exactly set the world on fire, did it? Let's be honest.
Just detest that episode, Husbands of the River Song. I must admit, even listening to the music from it, I don't. Yeah, I detest it. I must admit, I hope we do get a Series 10 though, because although it's still Murray pulling out a few of his sort of tropes, I do remember, and I'm sure we said this. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm sure he did start to mix it up a little with Series 10, didn't he?
Yes.
I remember a few more electronic bits creeping in that we liked and stuff like that, and Bill's theme was lovely, wasn't it? Really liked Bill's theme. So I hope we do get one. I've heard that we're not gonna, because apparently he's no longer associated with Doctor Who, which means he won't be involved in the soundtracks. But I hope that's not true. I hope that's just a rumour, because it'd be really sad if we jump, if they release a soundtrack to Series 11 and we don't get a Series 10. That would be just weird.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Series 10 will be owned by the BBC and stuff, so it won't be down to Murray Gold whether that's released or not. Because
no, I think what it is because apparently he has the say on what tracks go on it, and he's like quite heavily involved in the sort of in what actually gets released. So apparently that's, again, this is all stuff I've read. Who knows if it's true? But apparently that's why Series 9 took so long, because he's been off having a baby with his wife and didn't have time to sort of do it, and he finally sort of found time to put it together and all this sort of stuff. I don't know how much this is true, but that's what I heard. He's quite heavily involved in the sort of like what goes on it, so it's kind of down to him. But I don't know. We'll see. Hopefully we'll get it before the year 2030 would be nice.
Yeah, I'm up for the Series 10 soundtrack, definitely. A lot more than Series 9. I think Series 9's just... It had some good moments, but the soundtrack kind of mimics the quality of Series 9, really. Do you know what I mean? It's sort of, it kicks off into a decent gear and it's not too bad, but then, I don't know.
I could hear lots of Clara moments in it as well, which annoyed me, because I was thinking her little theme keeps creeping in and all the Ashilda stuff. And I was thinking, just like you said, because we're not really fans of Series 9, I was sort of thinking, actually, all this soundtrack's doing is reminding me of episodes I don't really like. Even though the music's all right, But,
and also the artwork on the front as well is not really doing it for me either. It's weird because it's got they've switched over to the brand new logo, which
you and the logo.
I was going to say I'm not going to mention that really. That's just my thoughts on that. But they've got this kind of weird thing at the bottom behind Series 9, this kind of light leak effect, which almost mimics the shape of the Series 1 to 4 logo in a way. And it's just got the same old, what you'd expect, the Doctor and Clara running away from an explosion of some sort. But it's I would have much preferred a different cover than that. But there we go. We could, not going to complain too much because it's finally here. We've asked for it for so long.
I know, we've asked for it,
Yeah, I really don't want to be those people. When we're basically British weather people, where we ask for hot weather for so long, and when it's here, we complain it's too hot. So I don't want to be like that. But Who fans are never happy, are they?
No, that's true. So that's what I've been doing, mate. Been being grouchy all week because of that, and also that we've had beautiful sunshine, and today is pouring with rain as we record, so maybe that's affected my mood. I don't know, but so that's me, mate. What have you been doing?
I've not been out and about like you have, but have dived into a little bit of Who. So I grabbed the old McCoy special edition box set out again the other night.
Lovely, yeah.
I just can't seem to put it down. It's just so nice. So I tweeted out. I've got loads of people like, watch this one, watch this one. So the vote came in and it was greatest show that got watched out of that set. Was very happy with that. I've also picked up some more Big Finish. So I've listened to the first story or the first disc, if you get the physical one, of the new Torchwood Believe story.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Is that good?
I'll tell you, mate, yeah, that's cracking so far.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I've heard very good things about
really
that.
Good. Yeah, I think it's the first, one of the few times where I've listened to an audio story and I've actually been kind of disturbed almost. Because Torchwood is fairly adult.
Yeah.
But that adultness doesn't really come through that much with Big Finish. They kind of tone that down fairly. It's not like it was on the TV show. But I tell you what, mate, there's a few scenes in this one where I thought, crikey, Moses, this is a bit strong. Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh, right.
So it's one of the few times when I've listened to an audio story from Big Finish and I've actually thought, oh, blimey, do they need an age rating on this or what? But overall, it's a really good story. And the cast are doing very well as well. And I haven't got to disc 2 yet, but I think Rory's in it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think Arthur Darville's, because I've seen a few tweets saying, you'll never look at Rory in the same way.
All right.
And I checked, I think he's on anyway. I checked the cast listing and I'm pretty sure he's on it. So, yes.
No, that's cool, because we were saying last week after our review that Arthur Darville was great in Good Man Goes to Water, one of the best things in it, actually. So, has he done much Big Finish? I'm not sure.
Let's have a look. Oh, he is in it. But he's not playing Rory.
Oh.
Ah, okay, that'd be Bynum.
Okay.
Yes, he's playing a different character, but Arthur Darville does star in it. Yes.
Actually, I know he's done some of the Dark Shadows. He did so yeah, he's a bit involved in Big Finish, yeah.
Yeah. But it's good to have all the cast in it, though. That's cool. So all of the main cast that we know from Series 1. So obviously Captain Jack, Yanto, Gwen, Tosh, Owen, they're all there.
Yeah.
So that's really cool. If you haven't picked, I think, I could be wrong, but I think it's still on the web special price at the moment.
Yeah, I think they normally keep it going to the end of the month or maybe a month after. I can't remember now.
Yeah,
but
something like that. So obviously I picked up the digital version. It's just 20 quid. Yeah, and I think the CD's 23. So I would recommend this one so far. I've only listened to the first disc, if you like. And there's 3 discs. But yeah, it's good.
Yeah, cool. I was having a bit of a chat about Big Finish with one of our listeners, actually, because we were saying it's strange they've never done the Paternoster Gang, because that was the sort of spin-off everyone expected on the TV, and that never happened. And I was thinking that seems ideal for Big Finish, but and again, we don't know the sort of ins and outs of this, but apparently they can't use them. And I was like, well, surely that can't be right, because the BBC must own but it's something to do with, I think, a spin-off started to get into sort of early stages of being planned. Right. Didn't happen. And then so those sort of, I don't know, that sort of tangled up things for future spin-offs or something. I'm not sure, but it does seem odd, because that seems like the perfect spin-off for Big Finish, doesn't it? Those 3. And so there must be a reason they haven't done it so far. But yeah, they've done Jago Lightfoot and Strax, haven't they? Which you really liked. Remember, you said that was quite good.
That's good, actually. That one, The Haunting. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's weird because, so Strax is obviously popped up in Big Finish. Have the other 2, have Vastra and Jenny popped up in any Big Finish stories? I can't remember.
My gut feeling is they have, but I can't think of any. So maybe they haven't. Maybe I just think they have, if you know what I mean. Yeah, I can't think of any with them in, but I'm sure anybody listening out there will probably know.
Actually, yeah. Hold on. So Vastra was in the Churchill years.
Oh, okay.
Yes. So she was in that. I don't think Jenny was in that one. I could be wrong. Listeners would tell us, but I don't think Jenny's. So Vastra's definitely there.
Yeah.
So I think potentially individually they've been on Big Finish. So why they can't group them together is beyond me. I don't know.
Yeah.
Because they're all properties and, part of the BBC, IP, as it were, for Doctor Who. So I don't know. Who knows what goes on behind the world of...
Who knows? I expect it. Let's blame them off. We blame him for everything else. You remember when like Barrowman wanted to bring back Torchwood and he mouthed off at that convention. It's the Moffat standing in the way, and then there's a bit of a sort of standoff between two. Yeah, so let's just blame him off. He's used to it. He doesn't care.
Yeah, well, he's not doing much at the minute, so.
No.
Load it on him, yeah. Yeah. John Barrowman's put some cool pics on, actually. I think he was over at a convention in Australia somewhere last week, yeah. And it looks like he's had a great time over there with plenty of Who fans and whatever else he's in. I think he's in that... Is he still in that Arrow series?
I don't watch it.
Yeah.
Is that the convention where I saw some pictures of Peter Capaldi, Pearl Mackie being driven around in Bessie?
Yes, I think it was over in...
I think that might have been the same one, because I was like, what the... Yeah. What a crazy... Because I was thinking that's crazy, because only the other week I was meeting Pearl in the rain in London outside a theatre, and now she's like over in Oz doing a convention in the glorious... what a life they lead.
Showbiz, eh?
Showbiz,
1 week you're snapping at fans outside the theatre.
Yeah.
The next week you're all smiles in the sun in Australia. It's just...
It is.
What a life, eh?
It's crazy. I'll tell you what, though, Capaldi, and you said this, Capaldi looks so much... you remember how tired he looked at the end of Series 10? We were saying, crikey. God, he looked knackered. I saw a picture on the other day, and I was like, God, he's glowing. He looks totally refreshed.
Yeah, he does.
Like, the stress of the Doctor Who schedule has well and truly been lifted from his shoulders. He looks so much healthier than the picture I saw the other day. Actually,
funny you mentioned that. I read something the other day. I think he was interviewed recently, either on radio somewhere. Might have been on Australian radio, or in an article somewhere. I can't remember, but recently he was interviewed, and he gave a little bit more detail about his departure and so on. And that's basically the reason why he left, because he said that being at the centre of that brand, he didn't even mention it as a TV show. He just said being at the centre of it all.
Yeah,
he said is just draining beyond belief. And he said he didn't say this like explicitly, but you could read between the lines where he essentially said that he just couldn't go on anymore.
Yeah,
with the schedule, and I think the recording schedule is very intense and quite
grueling,
lengthy.
I should imagine.
Yeah, and then on top of that, you've got everything else that you're expected to do as the star of Doctor Who. You've got endless interviews and appearances, and additional audio work to do, and just so much stuff. He basically said he's burnt out. He just couldn't go on anymore.
Yeah. When I saw him at that Series 10 preview, he looked absolutely shattered, bless him. I mean, you could just see it in his face. He was really trying to, be fun in the interview, but you could just see he just needed a good night's sleep. But yeah, he does. He looks so much more refreshed now.
Yeah. And a lot of actors, they kind of, especially actors who are sort of busy and not out of the limelight, they tend to go from one job to another. So if you look at David Tennant or even Eccleston and those guys, Matt Smith, they go from one show and one thing quite quickly because they keep working. But Capaldi said that when he finished Doctor Who, he had to just do nothing. He stopped everything because he had to recuperate and get himself back on track and spend time with his wife, who he hadn't seen very much. So he just spent like 3 or 4 months, he said, doing absolutely nothing, just getting up, going for breakfast, reading the paper, having a walk, and just doing like normal person stuff.
Yeah.
So I feel for him because, like we said numerous times towards the end of his run that he just looked like absolute beep, didn't he?
He did. He looked shattered, mate. Yeah. I bet that first day of like waking up and not having to go to work, I bet that was such a relief. I bet he just laid in bed for like the whole day, just like, that must have been so nice. Yeah.
So I'm hoping that Jodie can work out some kind of decent, schedule. I think it really does depend on the support of your better half or your family if you're going to take on a role like the Doctor.
Yeah.
Because if we think back to like David Tennant and Matt Smith, they were sort of young single guys at the time when they did it, so they had no ties and responsibilities. They could go and shoot for months on end and not really have to be home, for dinner on the table. As it, I don't think if I'm making sense, but
I know what you mean.
Those guys sort of had a young, single, free life for the most part that we know of, anyway. So it wasn't much of a burden. But for someone like Capaldi, who's, you know, an older gentleman, you know, not quite as sprightly as they were when they were taking on the role with a wife and other stuff. So let's hope Jodie can not look like, you know, she's 20 years older than what she actually is once she's done a couple of series. So.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. So anyways, that's all that gumph.
Yeah.
Should we land it?
Go on then, let's see what the news is.
Do you like going to the cinema, Adam?
I do.
Do you like going to the pictures?
I do.
I do too. I like going to the cinema even more when there's Doctor Who on at the cinema.
Yes.
Yay!
So I.
Doctor Who is back at the cinema.
Yay!
In the US.
Oh.
But that's still cool though.
It is cool.
Because our US fans can get to watch some Doctor Who. And not only is Doctor Who coming to the cinema, but it's a belter of a classic story. Genesis of the Daleks. Mr. Tom Baker is going to be at a special showing at a range of US cinemas. I don't know the exact details. It's run by a company that we've mentioned quite a few times called Fathom Events. They're the guys that normally do these special screenings and so on. And it's going to be on the 11th of June. And it's to sort of coincide with the Blu-ray release of Tom Baker's Series 12 set that's going to be out at some point. And they're not doing it in just a single cinema. They've got, like I said, a deal with loads of different cinemas across the US. I had a very quick look earlier, and there's quite a few in most of the big US cities. I'd had a look in New York. There's 3 different cinemas showing it, all at 7 o'clock on the 11th of June. Prices are whatever you want to pay, really. I looked at a fairly decent cinema in New York, and the ticket price was $13, which is about £9, which is very good because cinema prices here, it's about £11-12 for a ticket, which is nearer $20. So, yeah, what do you reckon, mate? Genesis in the cinema.
I think it's great. I gotta say, they're calling it a director's cut as well, which initially I was like, huh, what does that mean? But basically, it's the 90-minute version that was, I think, sort of, it's basically edited. The episodes edited together, so not director's cut. Always makes me think it's going to have extra scenes in. I was thinking, have they discovered some new footage of the clam? But no, it's just the 90-minute condensed version. But it's still very cool. And also, they're going to have the first look at the conversation with Tom Baker, which is the newly recorded interview with him, which sounds really cool. 'Cause as we know, having seen the little bits that Tom did for the Sharda BFI event we went to, Tom's just so funny in interviews, and he's also fascinating, and he's just everything you'd imagine him to be. So that's going to be cool. I'm really looking forward to watching that when it comes out on the Blu-ray.
Yes.
I mean, you know what we're going to say. It would be lovely if they did something like this here. I'd love to see BFI pick this up. I'd love BFI to do a screening of this. I think that would be fantastic, especially if Tom was there. But I don't know. That's just wishful thinking at the minute. It's just our US buddies. But yeah, I'd love to see Genesis on the big screen though, mate. I think it would be amazing.
It would be awesome. Yeah.
Yes, I would. Davros doing
Davros.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm really happy about that. Like I said before, anytime that we can get anytime we can get Doctor Who out into the cinema and more eyes on it, the better. And you can't go wrong, really, with watching Tom in any story in the cinema. Because when we watched Sharda, it was just a joy to watch that.
Oh, it was. And I'm just looking forward to seeing how much they've managed to do in terms of restoration. Yeah. Because we're talking something that's made in 1975, was
something
it?
Like that, yeah.
I mean, the source material they're working with is not ideal for Blu-ray, but obviously they feel they've can do it to a certain grade. So I'm just looking forward to seeing how good it looks and whatever and stuff like that. So
no technical details yet on how they've presented these on Blu-ray. So
no.
yeah, I'm always quite intrigued for these things, these old series that get shoved onto Blu-ray. So we'll have to see.
I just hope that Mark Ayres is working on the audio restoration, because he does amazing work. I mean, the stuff he did with Power of the Daleks, God, that sounded amazing. How he managed to clean up that soundtrack. So yeah, hopefully they've got him working on it, because he is a musical genius when it comes to restoration. But yeah, that's very cool. So our US listeners, get yourself along to that, because that's going to be cool.
Indeedy. Yes. Right, should we get our metal friend in, see what he's got?
Yeah, see what he's got.
Merch corner. Merch corner. Merch corner.
I don't know whether to be impressed or disgusted.
It's a bit rubbish, but it's pretty. It's very pretty.
Eagle Moss.
Yes.
Famous for producing their collectible figurines and magazines,
of which I have hundreds.
Yes. Yeah. How often do they come out these days? Is it monthly?
I think it's fortnightly.
Oh, fortnightly, is it?
Mm.
Okay. Well, for the first time, I think, they are expanding their reach from not just figures of people or aliens from the world of Doctor Who, but you'll soon be able to get one of the consoles from the TARDIS.
The TARDIS.
Yes. So another Tom Baker thing.
Yeah, it is, isn't it? Yeah, it's Tom's console.
It's Tom's year, isn't it? It's definitely Tom Baker's year.
Yes.
For Classic Who. Yeah, but anyway, Eagle Moss are bringing out the Fourth Doctor's console, which has been faithfully finished with all the screens, controls, switches, and everything that you saw on the telly, and is in scale with the rest of the Eagle Moss collection, so it won't look out of place next to your existing figures.
Oh, God, it's going to be tiny then.
It will be very small, yeah. And apparently it's made from a high-quality poly resin with a removable plastic column in the centre.
Oh.
Yeah.
Why would you want to remove it? In case you want to do a few repairs on it.
Yeah, if you need to get to the intricate wiring underneath.
In case it's not going up and down.
So, you can pre-order it from forbiddenplanet.com. It is out not until December this year, and you can bag it for $18.99. I'm assuming you can buy it from the Eagle Moss website direct as well, but there's no details of it there at the moment. I assume you're going to get this one, buddy?
Well, I love anything to do with the TARDIS console, and I'm very excited about these, actually, because, as I said, I do buy a lot of the Eagle Moss stuff. They're a bit like, they do vary in quality. Some of their figures I think look brilliant, and then some weeks I think, I pick and choose them, basically. I don't subscribe to it, so I buy the ones that I think look good, and some of them have been great. They did a War Machine recently that was fantastic. I mean, they absolutely nailed it. And then other times I look at them and I think, well, that looks absolutely nothing like. I'm trying to think of an example, but they're not always great, but most of the time they are pretty decent. So this is going to be a series, I believe. I think they're going to do like all the consoles, and this is like the first one. Yep. And they kind of put the feelers out first to see if this was something people wanted. They did like this poll on their website. Yeah. So I'm glad that they're going ahead with it. Me personally, I love the sound of this. It's right up my street. I'll probably get, I mean, if they do like the Fifth Doctor's console, I mean, I'd love it. I'd absolutely love it. So, awesome. Yeah, I'm quite excited about this. I hope the detail's good. They've got a little mock-up image of Tom's console, and it looks decent. I just don't know how, I hope the actual thing looks good, because they've obviously spent ages painting this. And this is the other thing with Eagle Moss. Sometimes you have to get it from the shop, because my goodness, if you order them online, you take a punt with how the paint job is on it. Like my David Bradley First Doctor, he looks like someone's thrown mud in his face. The paint apps are dreadful. And yet we saw some in Forbidden Planet the other week, and they looked really good. So sometimes it's good if you can actually find these in a shop, but I know that's not always easy. Smiths used to do them, but I don't think they tend to get them now. No. It's normally like FP. But yes, me, mate, I as you can probably tell, I'm actually pretty excited for these. Not till December though, blimey.
Yeah, well, there's conflicting information on that. There's plenty of of info that have come through, not just from Forbidden Planet, but that say that July is when it's going to land. But I would probably say that is more likely. I think if they've already got this mock-up worked up and it looks pretty good already, that it won't be the end of the year. I think that's just Forbidden Planet being Forbidden Planet.
Yeah.
So they normally, if Forbidden Planet are not really sure on the confirmed date, they'll add like 5 years on it, and just to play it safe so that I don't get complaints. But I would probably say that the July date is more accurate than December, but don't quote us on that. Yeah,
it could be Eagleback covering their backs, because they're, from personal experience, the Eaglemoss customer service is horrific. And I know, I'll give you an example with the War Machines. I got mine from Forbidden Planet, and I had it nearly 2 months before people who had subscribed to actual Eaglemoss, they were sort of saying, hang on a minute, where's ours? You've supplied like suppliers, but you haven't sent out the subscribers. And they are a bit of a nightmare when it comes to, and I've experienced this a few times. I literally won't order direct from them because of the experiences I've had from them. I'm sorry to say, because I actually really quite like their products, but I tend to always get them from FP. But so it could just be that maybe they've thought, right, hang on a minute, we don't want another situation. Maybe we'll do the subscribers in July, and then we'll give them a really long date so we can do some more. And I don't know, but whenever it comes out, I'll definitely be getting one.
Yeah, I'll pick this one up. I like it.
Yeah. I was going to say, you're going to get one for your little shelf. Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
Right, what else have we got on this tray? A couple of ebooks. Some ebooks called Time Shadows, which is an unofficial, unauthorized Doctor Who anthology series, all done in the name of charity. And all proceeds from this benefits a Canadian charity called Code, which I'm not very familiar with. Do you know much about Code?
No, I think it's an educational charity that focuses on sort of literacy and advanced education for people. Yep.
Oh, cool. So there's two that have just been released as ebook formats, which is Time Shadows, the Anniversary Edition, and Time Shadows Second Nature. There's no sort of set price for this. I think there might be a minimum of $5, is it?
I think so, yeah, something like that.
Yeah, but so basically you can sort of donate whatever you feel is right for these. And they're a selection of short stories, basically, which covers... Well, is it just the 12th Doctor? Because he's on the cover, but I don't know if that means they're all 12th Doctor stories. I'm not sure.
I think they are.
I think they are, yes, but I couldn't find any other info on that. So I think they're 12th Doctor stories, yeah.
Yeah. It's a short trip sort of thing and a collection of stories. But I remember us announcing the second one last year. And it's only up until now, because you could only get them as the print physical copy, but I think it's only now that they've, for this charity, that they've unlocked the ebook, PDF, whatever you want to call it, version.
Yeah,
which is really cool, because it'll open up. A lot of people now read on their Kindles or the iPads, whatever. So it'll be good. And I'm not sure how long that's going to last, though. It just says for a limited time, but it doesn't say what that time is. So if you spotted this last year when it was announced, or you want some new Doctor Who reading, then jump over there. So we'll put the link in the show notes, but if you jump over to pseudoscopepublishing.com/Time Shadows, you'll have all the deets there, and you'll be able to order it and so on. It looks good.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
Something to fill the gap while we're waiting for 13.
Yes, if you've read all your Target books, that have just landed, then go and grab it. And obviously it's for a good cause, for charity, so another reason to go and pick it up.
Yeah.
Moving on, last bit of merch. Another book is on the way.
Oh.
Another one that's not out until later in the year, October. This is the Doctor Who TARDIS Type 40 Instruction Manual.
Oh, that sounds cool.
Yes, by Richard Atkinson and Mike Tucker.
Ah, good. Mike Tucker's cool.
Yes.
I like Mike Tucker.
With illustrations from Gavin Rimmel, or Rimmel. I can't pronounce. With names, we're awesome. So this is the... I'll give you a bit of spiel on this. So, governed by Time Lord technology... I don't need to read this. We know what the TARDIS is. But the book goes into details about the appearance of the TARDIS, which has changed both inside and out many times over the years. And this manual features every incarnation, including the latest version through to the 13th Doctor.
Yes, how awesome.
Yeah, it covers the console with fully labelled detailed schematic diagrams for each function, the ship's famous chameleon circuit, floor plans, specifics of dematerialization, the force fields and tractor beams, and much, much more. It comes complete with case studies of the Wondercraft in action, taken from the TARDIS's many trips through space and time. This manual is an essential guide to the wonders of the universe.
The Wondercraft. I've never heard the TARDIS called that before.
Yes. So Mike Tucker's the main dude, Gavin Rimmel's the illustrator. This looks like a belter of a book, mate. You know, we're suckers for anything TARDIS, aren't we?
Oh, this is absolutely this is tailor-made for me. This sounds great. Yeah.
Yeah. At the moment, the obvious place to order it or pre-order it would be Amazon, and it's priced at a very reasonable $14.99, which is good because some Doctor Who books that are quite meaty, so the Dalek book that was out last year and some other ones, you can push up to sort of 30-35 quid for those.
Yeah.
So this is a reasonable price. I'm looking forward to this one.
Yeah, and I'm assuming it's coming out after the series 11's aired then, because if it's got the new TARDIS in. So
yeah,
it's October
the 18th.
Yeah, is the provisional date for it. This does sound really cool, mate. I can't actually really looking forward to this. Yeah.
There you go.
Awesome.
You'll be able to have an intricate knowledge of how those little bits on the TARDIS actually work, rather than just hearsay. Oh, this was obviously a technical nightmare.
I should imagine, yeah.
Yeah, because there's been so many little bits and bobs added and taken away from every TARDIS over the years. I don't think there's ever been a kind of one source of truth to go to say, yes, this is how the chameleon circuit actually works, or this is how something else actually works. So, because it's always been, for me, I don't mean to go on about this, but for me, the TARDIS has always had this kind of 90% kind of sci-fi technical sort of mastery about it, and 10% kind of magical feeling about it, if that makes sense, because there's been plenty of stories where the TARDIS has had this sort of telepathic link with the Doctor, and the TARDIS has almost had its own set of feelings and personalities and stuff. So it will be interesting to see how they cover that and actually definitively say, yes, this is how the Time Lords made this TARDIS technology work. And so I'm really looking forward to this one.
Me too, mate. I'm thinking back to that scene in Adventure in Space and Time as well, when the new producer comes in and Hartnell's like, well, that's not how those switches don't do that. And you need to film it from the other way. And he's like, no, they don't care about those sort of things. Just press any old switch. And he's having none of it. He's like, no, this one operates the rotor.
Yeah, good old Hartnell.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah. So that's news and merch. On to our review this week. Sarah Jane.
Sarah Jane, yeah.
Dude, what we doing?
Those pesky Slovene are back in Revenge of the Slovene.
I'm feeling anxious.
So am I.
But you've been to school before?
Not this one.
Name?
Clyde Langer.
Troublemaker.
You've seen this place. It stinks. The food's rotten. Something weird's going on here.
That's a bit flashy.
It's a brand new building. There was an article about it in the paper.
I did an IT job in a school that looked exactly like that.
Was it built by Ko-Fi Construction?
Can I help you?
Do you really think you can help us?
Yes, we'll use him to solve the storage problem.
A 14-year-old human child?
Yeah.
Lights out, London.
Have a look around. See if you can find where that smell's coming from.
She really shouldn't be hanging around school after home time.
Is that a threat?
Yes.
Come on!
Run! It's no fun if you don't run! The smell of human fear. Love it!
Is there a way out through here?
No, there's no way out.
So, Luke, how do you like our little science project?
I am a child of the Slovene, and this is my hunt!
There you go.
Yes.
Revenge of the Slovene.
Farting aliens are back.
Yes. We've not seen the Slitheen in the Moffat era, have we? Do correct me.
No, I don't think we have. No, he hasn't revisited them.
Yeah.
No.
So this was first on our screens back in 2007, in September. It was written by Gareth Roberts. It was directed by Alice Troughton and obviously overseen by RTD and Julie Gardner and Phil Collinson. And it is I think most of the Sarah Jane stories are 2 parts, aren't they?
I think so, yeah.
So the story is, as you can gather from the trailer, that the Slitheen are back and they've installed lots of stations and technology blocks all over the country and all over the world. And they're trying to essentially, the same old plan for the Slitheen. They're trying to wipe out the human race so that they can have the planet to themselves. And it feels kind of weird saying this because it's normally I'll say something like our TARDIS team of the Doctor and so on. But no, it's Sarah Jane and the new stars this one. So Maria, Luke and Clyde are on the case unwittingly. They kind of get early signs that something's not right with their school because, as is the case with Doctor Who, a lot happens in schools. So the teachers have been killed and replaced. The Slitheen are using their human skin as a suit, as it were. And those guys are on the case. They first realise something's not right with the farting teachers and the mouldy food and all that stuff.
Oh, the mouldy food. That's gross. Yeah.
And surprisingly, Sarah Jane's not on it to begin with. She kind of doesn't really cotton on, but the kids do. And then, there's a lot of to-in and throw-in, a lot of chasing, a lot of running, a lot of Luke doing his smart scientific thing, a lot of Maria doing her controlling thing, a lot of Clyde doing his funny banter thing, which all sort of comes together at the end. And they sort of form this new gang, really, I suppose is the right word.
Yeah.
Kind of a re-kick-off, I would say, because we reviewed the pilot, if you can call it that, last month, with Invasion of the Bane. And this one feels like it's another kick-off almost.
It does, yeah.
A little bit. So I think because there's been such a huge gap, or there was a huge gap between that one and this series starting properly, they needed to, because I think Invasion of the Bane was New Year's Day or Christmas Day, wasn't it?
I think New Year's Day, yeah.
Yeah, in 2007. So we do have like a bit more of an establishing setup where, especially at the beginning, we have Maria saying, I'm Maria and I've moved with my dad, and across the road is this big house with Sarah Jane. And so we have a bit more of a setup, and because we got new characters as well, we got Clyde, and we say goodbye to the other girl that was in the...
She doesn't get mentioned, does she? The one that was in the one that was in the pilot. Was it? Oh, what was her name? Kelsey?
No.
Was it?
Was it Kelsey? Kelsey, it was, Kelsey Hooper.
Was it Kelsey? Kelsey, yeah. She was in the pilot, but she doesn't even get mentioned. No. I wonder if she gets mentioned at all, or if they just... No, let's not.
Probably not.
Let's forget about her, yeah.
It's kind of another setup story almost. But it doesn't take as long to do that as the other one, the previous one. And then it's just normal kind of action-packed Who style shenanigans of lots of running away, problem solving. And so what do you reckon to the first one? The proper first one?
The proper first one. Yeah, I actually, I really quite enjoyed it, actually. I was a little bit worried at the start because there's a lot of farting jokes. And I was thinking, are they just thinking... Because it's a kid's show or a family show, if you like. I was thinking, they're not going to sort of over-egg that, are they? But yeah, once I sort of got to the end of the second part, I thought it was quite a fun little watch, really. And it made me sort of think back to the sort of shows I watched as a kid that had a good line between being sort of a children's program, but intelligent enough to be watched by adults, if you know what I mean. Because there are a lot of kids shows now. Like, remember that Wizards and Aliens thing that RTD did? I found that quite childish. What I watched. So
that was a lot more than childish.
Yeah. Whereas this, I thought, okay, it is it's still a sort of children's program, clearly, but I still found myself sort of getting quite into the story and stuff. So overall, I really liked it. There was a couple of bits that really sort of I thought were really good, which I'll come to as we go through it. But my sort of initial reaction is a bit like with Invasion of the Bane. Actually, I just thought it was a good little watch and enjoyable. Yeah. What about you, mate? Did you like this one?
Well, I did quite like this one. Yes. I think it's anyone that grew up and really liked those sort of live action programs that were on sort of the BBC when we came home, or Saturday morning shows. It does have that unique feel to it, where it kind of caters for, because at face value you would think that it's only just for kids, but it does have that, like you said, that intelligent writing to it, where especially for Doctor Who fans, they can appreciate, certain things that are happening and going on. But the kids can like it as well. So I'd imagine for sort of early teens it would be good, because you'd relate to the main characters of Maria and Clyde and so on. And then for younger kids, so I imagine if you rewind back to September 2007, I would imagine that sort of younger fans of Doctor Who would really be looking forward to this, because it's something else within the Doctor Who universe. I can imagine like a 13-year-old on the sofa watching it with a view to relating to Clyde and Maria and so on, or a 14-year-old, but then their younger brother or sister who's maybe 6 or 7 really liking it as well, because it's got monsters and funny farty noises and stuff like that. And then you've got mum or dad who are like long-term Doctor Who fans who are also watching it because it's Sarah Jane and they love Sarah Jane. So I really like the sort of wide appeal that it actually has, because I think if you're not really a Doctor Who fan, or you're a certain age, you might think of the Sarah Jane Adventures and be like, oh, that's just a little kid's stupid thing. But I think when you sort of get into it a little bit and you give it a chance, you get past the first 10, 15 minutes of it, it really does open up and does appeal to a wider audience. So I really sort of credit RTD for that, who's created this show that, like you said, Wizards and Aliens was very, very sort of not even high school age, really. That was sort of primary school.
I only watched a couple, but I remember sort of thinking, no, I couldn't get into it because it's a bit kiddie.
Yeah. So I think, it's a really good balance of writing in this one. And as the story as a whole, I think it's, again, like Invasion of the Bane, it's simplistic enough that everybody can follow along, but it's not panto where, everything has to be spelled out in front of you, and you have to have your hand held throughout the entire thing. So that's good. And obviously the Slovene are a very interesting alien that's been brought into the world of Who.
They suit, I was going to say, they really do suit the sort of target audience, don't they, for Sarah Jane? I mean, they were the sort of, really, if you're going to sort of bring in a series to connect this to, RTD's Doctor Who, I think they're a great choice for the first sort of proper story of the series. Invasion of the Bane, like I said, pilot, but, what monster are you going to bring back to sort of connect it to Doctor Who that suits this audience? And they're perfect, aren't they? Because the Slovene, they got, the farting thing, not sure about it, but it's kids will probably find all that stuff quite funny. And they do, in Doctor Who, and to an extent in this one, they are quite scary. So I think they are a good invention. I'm just glad that Russell explained the farting thing, because if it was just that they farted, it's not really my sort of humour. But he says it's something to do with them compressing themselves in the suit or something, wasn't it? They don't say it in this, but in the other one. So, there's a reason for it. I like the fact that Russell gives a reason for it, but we all know it's there just to add a bit of humour. But but they're the perfect choice, I think, to sort of kickstart the proper first series of Sarah Jane.
Yes. And I would say that, the toilet humour side of it with the farting, which doesn't happen too often. It does at the beginning.
Just the beginning, really, isn't it? Yeah.
I would say that if it's good enough for Doctor Who that's aimed at a more adult audience, then it's good enough because they really went to town with it in, was it Aliens of London?
Aliens of London, World War III,
Yeah, I mean, they didn't hold back at all with the fart humour for regular Doctor Who. So, if it's going to be aimed at a younger audience, and of course, it's going to be funny and stuff, but I don't have a problem with it. It's
I think it's funny that Luke says a couple of times, doesn't he? He's like, is farting funny? And I think, is that just because this is written by Gareth Roberts, isn't it?
Yes.
Is that Gareth Roberts putting a little in joke saying, "Is it funny?"
Yeah.
I don't know, but yeah, no, I don't have a problem with it. As I said, it was just that initial first sort of 10 minutes when there's quite a lot of it. I was thinking they're not going to do that all the way through, are they? Because that's going to wear thin pretty quick. But they don't. Yeah, they sort of they quickly turn bad. Yeah.
And I think you're absolutely right with the Slitheen as well. I think if you're going to bring an alien, a monster over from regular Who, the Sarah Jane, this is it's perfect, really. Because I think if you had, not that they would do it over the top, but I think if you had Daleks in this or Cybermen, or I just think it would be a bit. I don't know. I think you need a more in-depth, intelligent story to effectively have a Dalek threat or a Cybermen threat.
True.
And I think some of the younger viewers would maybe sort of switch off a little bit with that stuff going on. So I think to have the Slitheen is really good shout, actually, because the human actors that play them when they've got the human suits on, which we'll come on to, is quite interesting. But then when you see the Slitheen in sort of all their glory, you're right, it does provide like kind of scary-ish nature to them, especially when they're sort of on the hunt, as they call it, when they go chasing after them in the school.
Yeah.
And they've also got obviously a very unique alien look about them, but they've got those huge big claws which look quite scary, and their voices can be quite threatening and stuff. So, and we've got the creepy little child Slitheen as well, which is I think he's the creepiest one out of all of them.
I was just going to say, that is the bit I absolutely loved. I must admit, I was kind of drifting along and I was thinking, this is fun. I'm enjoying this. But it wasn't reaching any great heights, but I was enjoying it. And then the cliffhanger to part one, when that kid, is it Carl? Yeah, it's Carl, isn't
Carl,
it? Yeah, because I honestly didn't see that coming. I don't know. Did you? I honestly did not see that he was about to turn into a Slitheen. And I literally, like, when he did it, and the way it's shot, because he's a real evil little so-and-so, isn't he? Like, drops the suit and he's got this it's like a mini Slitheen with gnashing teeth, and he's really evil. And I was like, I blimmin' love that. I didn't see that coming. That's brilliant. And I'll tell you what, mate, that really brought the episode up for me, because I thought he was the scariest one. He was really going for it.
Yes.
Because he was enjoying the hunt, wasn't he? So much. He's just teasing them by chasing them around. I loved that element of the story. I really did. I just thought the little Slitheen was brilliant. Was it Jeff? No, Jeff. So bad with names. Anyway, listeners will know. Obviously, because he's brought in as just a little side character, isn't he, that kid?
Yeah, Carl, yeah.
It is Carl, isn't he?
Yeah, I think he's part of the science club that Luke joins, isn't he?
That's it. Tell me you didn't see that coming. Did you? Was it him turning into a Slitheen?
Oh, no. Sorry, not at all. No, it's a good.
So were you shocked like me when he starts unzipping his head? Were you like, oh my God, Carl's a Slitheen?
Yeah, it's cool. Yeah.
Yeah, I loved it, mate. Absolutely loved that bit.
Yeah. Because the actors, the adult actors who are playing the Slitheen, you could, just their mannerisms.
They're going so over the top, weren't they? Yeah.
We'll come on to the campness and the theatrics. But with Carl, no, he was completely natural right up until the point where he unzipped his head.
Yeah, I thought it was brilliant.
Yeah. And the actor inside the little Carl Slitheen, you would have known him, Jimmy V. Name should ring a bell.
I thought it was, yeah.
Bana Kafalata.
The blue guy. Is it Mox of Balhoun?
Yeah. Scovox Blitzer. He was in that big suit.
Oh, he's done them all. And now R2D2.
And now R2D2. But yeah, so I was a big fan of the mini Slitheen, the little child one. I found it actually quite creepy.
Very creepy. Yeah, very creepy. Yeah. By far the scariest of all of them.
Because he's up for it.
Yeah.
He's like a little tiger that's been let out the cage, and now because I think the adult Slitheen because they gave you a bit of a backstory, didn't they, about their home planet, and there was another species on that planet, and the Slitheen sort of hunted them to extinction. So now they haven't got anything to hunt really. So they really like it when the humans run away and they're scared, because it gives them that sense of sort of primal hunting.
Yeah.
So the little Slovenian's well up for it. He's like, yeah, I'm finally going to get to.
And he's fast, isn't it? Because the other, like you said, the adult Slovenes are so fat and clumsy, and they bulk around. So he was zooming around like a little. It's a bit like like you said, if something escapes from a cage, a little insect or something, and you're like, oh my god! Something about him being smaller and more faster and stuff made him much more scary than the big old clumsy, adult ones. Yeah, that was a great idea. I don't know if that was Russell's or the writer Gareth Roberts, but that was a cool little mini twist. I liked that. Yeah, I thought the kid was quite good actually. Because as I said, I didn't see it coming. So when you think he's a sort of geek who's sort of got no friends, don't you? That Carl, you know what I mean? You just think he's a bit of a sort of school's loner. So I thought it was great when he turned evil. You were like, oh my god. Anyway, I loved that.
Yeah. In terms of story and so on. Like I said, it's fairly simplistic. You don't have to be taxed too much to see what's going on. So the Slovene have basically got this plan in place where they want to block out the sun or kill the sun or something.
Kill the sun, yeah.
Yeah, so they've got all these different sort of big electrical scientific... to me, it felt a little bit like, the very old Hammer horror films where, the Frankenstein story where... Or you've got all of this, where you've got Frankenstein laid up on the bed, and then surrounding it. They always do this. Surrounding it, they've got like these massive machines and switches
electricity,
and
yeah.
And it's clearly doing nothing. It's just the actor at the time walking around, flicking loads of things, and there's explosions and sparks, and it did feel a little bit like that, which is not a bad thing, because I think if they tried to go into too much detail with that technical side of things, again, the younger viewers would just sort of switch off. But I like how it's like a Frankenstein's lab, just sort of, endless dials and switches and stuff and explosions and stuff. And it's also an interesting little thing, isn't it, where they can't seem to get past a certain point. So there's a bit where they try it and then the power goes out, but then something goes wrong. And it's down to Luke. He provides this sort of mental equation to put into. It's really weird because he comes up with a scientific equation to go into an electronic machine, which is kind of weird. But so what did you think to the story? Because it's kind of simple. We get the idea.
It's very simple, yeah.
The Slovene are there to take over the world. They're going to kill the sun. Humans can't survive without the sun, and the planet's theirs. But I felt that this one, both parts actually, there wasn't enough time, or there wasn't time to hang around and have conversations like we had in Invasion of the Bane, because there was a few scenes in there where Maria, where they kind of set up the relationship with her dad. They're now living together, and we see like the mum just come in and annoy them sometimes. And about her relationship and how it gets into gear with Sarah Jane as well, and how Luke comes to be. In this one, I found that they did enough where the characters are established, but because it wasn't a pilot, they didn't have to spend too long having all of those longer scenes with the conversations and so on. And I think both parts moved along at a fairly decent pace as well.
Yeah. There
wasn't a time to hang around, and sort of, because we have the classic, let's run away, lots of running that they brought over from Who. So do you think the story moved decently, or did you reach for your phone a few times?
No, I honestly, Hand on Heart didn't reach my phone once during this. Actually, they do move along. I think they're just under half an hour each, aren't they? Or 25 minutes, half an hour.
25. Yep.
25. Yeah. I mean, episode 2, absolutely. It doesn't stop for breath, really. It's a real fast moving episode, because it's kind of it's picking straight up from the cliffhanger, and it really doesn't stop until literally the last couple of minutes, when everything's, they're all defeated, and we get a scene between Sarah Jane and Clyde, which is quite nice actually, because obviously they've introduced this new character, Clyde. We instantly get he's a bit of a cheeky chappy. He's obviously brought into the gang. He's the replacement for Kelsey, I assume, who's been dropped a hot potato from the pilot. So yeah, that's kind of cool. But that's the only time really when the episode sort of stops to breathe, is those last few minutes, and it's all the better for it, because as I said, we sort of bring in this new character, and he has to bond with Sarah Jane. It's strange though. I don't know about you, mate. When she starts talking about the Doctor again, it didn't feel as natural. It did feel a little bit shoehorned to me, because I was thinking, why she started going? She's like, oh, well, there was this man, and I guess they've done that because, like you said, there is a gap between the pilot and this, so maybe they're just reaffirming that she tried. So I totally get why it's there, but it didn't seem as natural as it did in the pilot to me when she started talking about the Doctor, and there was this great man that I once travelled with, because she's telling Clyde, isn't she? Yeah, but that's so cool. But then, it's a very small point, but then I liked the fact that then Clyde snuck upstairs and I was like, okay, so can we trust this? Because she says, can I trust you? And he's like, yeah. So he convinces her she can, but then he sneaks upstairs and you start to wonder if he's up to no good. But I don't know. I don't think he is, but I liked that as a little like, okay, what's going on now then? But then he gets interrupted and it's all good again. But yeah, I thought it moved along at a great pace. So I wasn't bored at all.
Okay.
In fact, I was thoroughly entertained. This is the thing about this Sarah Jane Adventures. It's the perfect sit down, switch your brain off, have some fun television. It's so far, you know what I mean? This two-parter is just, you've got Doctor Who if you want something a bit more, brain taxing. You've got Torchwood if you want something a bit more adult. This is just, as I said earlier, it reminds me of TV I used to love as a kid. I can just literally put this on and I'm happy for 50 minutes just watching it, and it's a fun watch. Yeah, it's paced very well, I thought.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. And I like I do agree with you. So that conversation she has with Clyde, where she's telling him about the Doctor, I think that is put in there to.
It's just to reaffirm it, I guess.
Yeah. So all of the kids, or I shouldn't really target the kids, but all of the people that maybe didn't see the Invasion of the Bane that went out on New Year's Day, and this was their first time watching Sarah Jane, because this would have been advertised, I assume, in a couple of weeks run up to it by the BBC and so on. So they're probably looking forward to it, and didn't maybe didn't see the first one. I guess they do need that little nod over to Doctor Who, and that's probably the best way to do it, because none of the other characters obviously had any interaction with the Doctor at this point.
Yeah.
So it's a good way for. But I get what you mean, though. It didn't, because in the Invasion of the Bane, they're out in the garden afterwards, aren't they?
That's right.
At the end, and it's quite a touching little sort of moment she has. That little monologue's quite nice. Whereas this one feels like a repeat of that.
It
but
does.
Just a bit condensed, just for the sake of people that maybe didn't hear it the first time round. But yeah. But no, overall, I thought the story moved along at a decent pace, just like Invasion of the Bane. Not quite as long scenes as that one. The conversations seemed to move a bit quicker. There wasn't time to hang around, but
yeah, because the other thing that's going on in this, which is quite sweet, is the sort of interaction between Sarah Jane and Luke, because she's kind of adopted this alien. Well, he's not an alien, is he? But this sort of artificially produced kid, which is strange because they don't make much of a deal of it in this. They don't really explain it, even in the little recap. They kind of just like, he was born yesterday, but what does that mean? So I'm thinking, as a sort of new viewer, a bit like we are, I'm kind of thinking, so what is Luke? Because like he seems really intelligent, but he also seems really naive in a way. So I'm still a little unclear what's going on with his character, if you like. But I did love the sort of interaction of Sarah Jane being a certain age and not knowing how to be a mum, or if she wanted. So that was quite sweet. But again, we don't get much time in the episode for that to be explored very much, do we? We get a little bit about not wanting to be called mum, but she does really. She's just saying that. But those scenes are quite nice, I think, between her and Luke. The end scene with her hugging him and them coming together. It's nice to see a bit of progression between those two characters, I think.
Yeah.
The fact that Sarah Jane's actually got to take on this new role of being a mum, and she's got to care for somebody. She's got she's got responsibilities and all that sort of thing. That's quite nice. But again, only really explored at the end, wasn't it? I'm guessing we'll get a bit more of that.
Yeah. So there was probably a couple of things that they put in at the end to give it that sort of happy ever after, sort of feel good ending.
Oh, it
did.
It did.
But I think, it's kind of at odds with itself, really, because you've got Sarah Jane who's giving a very similar speech to Clyde that she gave in the first one, because they want to. And I'm not saying this is definitely their sort of motive, but it just felt like people that didn't see Invasion of the Bane sort of had that sort of nod over to who from Sarah Jane, the connection there, and the reason why she's doing what she's doing, and so on. But then, like you mentioned, the stuff with Luke, we don't get, hardly any explanation at all. So if you hadn't have seen Invasion of the Bane, you wouldn't know what's going on with Luke at all.
Yeah, I found that a bit odd, because they do rely on him quite heavily in the story, don't they? He solves the mystery. So I find maybe it's because they haven't quite sort of worked out his character yet, but we didn't get much of an explanation for him of what he is and what he's doing. So I'm hoping we'll explore that more as the series goes on. I'm sure we will, but it was a bit confusing for sort of a first time viewer, I think.
Potentially.
Yeah.
But then again, I suppose because it's a series, they're relying on people to watch through the series, and his character does open up a little bit more as we go through. It's kind of difficult as well because you and I haven't seen all of them. We've only seen the odd one here and there.
Yeah.
So I can't actually say, yes, his character gets fleshed out more. I'm just,
we're assuming. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So it's cool. I mean, it's cool to be on this journey though, not knowing what's going to happen around the corner unless we get to an episode we've seen. You and I mentioned before we started recording, didn't we, that did you watch the Next Time trailer at the end for the next story, which I think is Eye of the Gorgon?
Yeah.
And that looks really good. I was actually in two minds. I was thinking, shall I just carry on and watch?
I was exactly the same.
Yeah.
I thought the trailer for the next one looked brilliant. I said to you, didn't I? I hope it's not one of those trailers that looks good and the episode's drab. But I loved the look of the next story because we are starting to see things are coming together really nicely, aren't they, already? Yeah. This little team we've got, and Sarah Jane in the middle of it, it's already got me hooked into the series. And you can just see so much potential already, even after these first two sort of stories that we've got. And I just get the feeling it's just going to get better and better because it's just going to grow and grow. And like you said, the trailer for the next one, I was like, that looks really good. I might just watch it. And I was like, no, save it. And it's great having not seen it because it's going to be, something new when I put it on when we come to review it next month. So, but it's definitely all the chemistry is working 100% for me in this series so far after two stories. And I think one of the big pluses of that is the performance of the cast. Because when you get a children's program, if the cast aren't up to a certain standard, I'm talking about the younger cast, when you get kid actors or teenage actors, if they're not up to a certain level of acting ability, it's very easy for you to sort of lose track or lose interest in the story and write it off as a kid's program. The fact I think all the actors in this are so good, it really helps make this an enjoyable watch. That's why I said I wouldn't write this off as a CBBC program. Don't just because it's a kids show, don't think I'm not watching that, because the acting and everything in it is of a decent level. From the main young cast.
Absolutely, don't write it off. Having said that, I think some of the reviews that we got through from our listeners, a few of them did say that this one is more towards the kind of more
kiddie
younger
side
audience than most of the other stories.
Whereas next week's looks quite dark. It might not be. We don't know. We haven't watched it, but it looks
dark.
Looks dark, doesn't it? Yeah, I was thinking this looks more like it.
Yeah.
There was a good scene in this when Maria, was hiding under the desk from the Savine, and he's sort of unsuiting, and she did look proper petrified. I was thinking, okay, this is edging slightly towards the more darker adult side, because that was quite a scary moment. But there wasn't many bits in this that were genuinely sort of moments of peril. I mean, there was a bit where Sarah Jane was behind some boxes and the Savine's coming towards her. That was actually more comical. I think it was supposed to be scary, but I actually found that more funny because he's knocking the boxes out of the way with his big old belly and claws. I was thinking, but that bit where she's under the desk was a bit frightening, and the little mini Slovene running around, he was pretty frightening. But there wasn't much in this that I thought was particularly adult, if you like.
No, and I think the story does. I think it does a fairly good job of providing sort of atmosphere and so on. So the school, so when they're sort of trapped in the school, looks pretty good, and especially the bit in the secret room where all the sort of experiment and the weapons being developed and so on. That looks the lighting's pretty good. I quite like the direction actually in this. I think Alice Troughton did a fairly decent job of, providing atmosphere in certain scenes and the chase scene. So it's very difficult for the actors in the Slovene suits to actually look like they're sort of moving quickly. Because if memory serves, in Aliens of London World War III, I think they used some CG Slovene in those.
They did. I definitely remember CG. Yeah.
Whereas in this one, it's all done with the physical actors in the suits, and they do look quite restrictive. So it's difficult to make them look like they're menacing and chasing after you. But I think she did a fairly good job with that.
Yeah, I do as well. They can't be easy to shoot and make look scary. Yeah.
Yeah. And Alice Troughton, she did. I think she's one of the only few directors who have directed episodes for all three, Who, Sarah Jane and Torchwood.
Oh, right.
Yeah. So she's done some good ones as well. She directed Midnight, which is a great story.
Oh, that's a good story, yeah.
The Doctor's Daughter, which we haven't reviewed yet. So
haven't we?
Well, I don't think so.
Oh.
Have we?
I thought we had. Don't know.
Oh, man.
I lose track.
Here we go. Let's go to the tape. The Doctor's Daughter. We have done it. You're right.
Yeah. When was that?
Crikey, back in episode 27.
Oh, no wonder you don't remember
it. So that wasn't too bad. But yeah, interestingly enough, she also directed this thing called Doctor Who, Tonight's the Night.
What's that?
I'm betting you've not heard of that before.
No.
So back in, I remember this because I remember.
Tonight's the Night.
Yeah, so Tonight's the Night was a TV show that John Barrowman presented.
Oh, yeah.
Back on the Beeb, back in 2009, 2010, something like that. And essentially what it was about, it is basically like audience members. It was like making their wish come true. So if an audience member said, I wish I was a fighter pilot for the day, they would, take them off to the RAF and they would be flown around in a plane. And, it's kind of like that Jim will fix it.
Oh, okay.
Surprise, surprise, Cilla Black, that era of TV sort of thing.
Yeah.
But there was one episode where they did a Doctor Who sketch, and it starred John Barrowman as Jack Harkness, and David Tennant came back as the Doctor.
Oh,
yeah, and so the winner of this particular thing was a person who got to play an alien in the sketch as Doctor Who. And it was written by Russell T Davies as well.
I don't remember any of this. I'd love to see it.
Yeah.
Is it online?
It might be on YouTube somewhere or somewhere.
And it's called Tonight's the Night.
It's called Tonight's the Night. It was presented by John Barrowman.
Right.
And one of the audience members or whoever entered the competition for that particular week's episode got to play a small part in this Doctor Who sketch. Written by RTD. And another little nugget for you, that this was actually the first time that the TARDIS interior was shown in high definition on TV.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Ah.
So, yeah, if you're going to search for it, any listeners that are trying to hunt it down, it might be on Dailymotion or YouTube, whatever. If you do a search for Tonight's the Night Doctor Who, December 2011, or something like that, or April. Actually, no, I can't remember when it was. I think it was one of the later. I can't remember, but anyway, this is just a little nugget for you.
Yeah, I was going to say it's so weird. I don't recall that at all.
Tonight's the night.
Tonight's the night. I shall have to have a look.
Yeah, so I don't remember watching the Doctor Who sketch in it, but I remember that show being on. Yeah.
Yeah, because you wouldn't have been into Doctor Who back then, would you? That would have been, I assume, before Matt took over. Yeah.
Yeah. But that might be a little fun. It feels to me like it's got that little comic relief, sketchy feel about it.
Right, yeah.
It's got that little... I'm assuming it's only sort of 10, 15 minutes long, but go and find it.
I shall search that down.
Yeah. But Alice Troughton directed that, as well as some cool stuff in Torchwood and everything else. But no relation to the Troughtons of Pat and anyone else. But I thought she did a decent job with this.
Yeah, I did as well, actually. There's sort of some crazy sort of angles. There's a bit where Sarah Jane does a sort of she drives in and sort of irks the car around, does like a wheel skid and stuff like that. And yeah, I thought it was quite well directed as well. As I said, Slovene can't be the easiest creature to direct and make look scary, but she does a good job, yeah.
Yes. Let's talk about some characters then. So we've spoken about the Slovene. So we've got let's talk about the adult Slovene quickly. So we've got...
Oh, yeah, we should, yeah.
Yeah. So we've got... we've spoken about the little mini one, Carl.
Who was good,
which actually managed to escape, because there's quite a touching scene at the end, isn't there, where Carl and who else is it? The one of the adult Slovene.
His dad, yeah.
Yeah, are trapped in the door to the secret area, what's going on. And the adult one gets electrocuted and dies, doesn't it?
Yeah.
In the doorway. And you think that Carl is going to go the same way. And Sarah Jane's she has this moment of hesitation where, do they try and save her? Because they're actually, pleading with her. Like the little one, he's like, I'm only 12.
Oh, no, that's heartbreaking. Yeah. Sarah Jane looks really distraught.
Yeah. And it's kind of like, they acted too late. So you think that they've been killed, but I think Carl gets teleported out.
Yeah, he does. I must admit, I wasn't clear when I first watched it. I was thinking, did he get away or not? But he does, doesn't he? The dad dies, but little Carl survives. I mean, you can't kill little Carl.
Not little Carl.
He's only 12.
Carl's like a little nephew that you want to look after for a little while, just for the crack.
Yeah.
Just see him go after the cat for hours. But yeah, it's really sort of heartbreaking. And
that reminded me of a Doctor Who scene, that, because it does turn a bit dark. They're like pleading for their lives.
Yes.
And they're like, you can't let them out. And Sarah Jane's obviously she wouldn't want to kill anyone.
No.
But if she does let them out, it's the end of the world. So that was, again, that's very much Doctor Who, that sort of thing, isn't it?
It is. It does turn. You have that little dark moment, don't you? And it's interesting, the reactions actually from Sarah Jane, because she's quite distraught. She didn't want to see them. She's kind of adopted the majority of the Doctor's point of view, where if there's no need to kill anybody or anyone. If you can save them, then you save them. So she kind of adopted that mindset, I suppose.
Yeah.
But Clyde is very much like, let him die.
He is actually, isn't he?
He was.
Yeah, he does. Yeah, he doesn't.
Yeah, he's quite matter of fact about it. It was like
he's got a lot to learn.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Yeah, he's got a lot to learn. But so yeah, but
what do you think of those two main adult?
Yes,
because they do camp it up, and for me, they slightly let the story down. I think they've gone in there thinking it's a kid's show. We need to be really funny and silly. They're not bad. They're not terrible, but they do go a bit OTT, don't they? Especially towards the end. They seem to get worse and worse as the episode gets on, actually. They get more and more OTT as the episode goes on.
Yeah.
Like the bit where he's talking down the microphone in episode 2, he's really going over the top. And I'm like, I could blame the director for that. Maybe, they should have been told to just take it down a notch, but it seems to me that they've been told to take it up 2 notches. I don't know, but they're okay. They provide a bit of humour, but I thought they were a bit over the top myself at times.
Yeah, so we've got Greg Blakeman, haven't we, who's the headmaster.
Mm-mm.
And then we've got the other guy, is it Tim Jeffrey?
Could be, I don't know.
Yeah, those
so
two.
Bad with names. I like the woman though. The woman's actually pretty scary. You know, the one that Sarah Jane's interviewing?
Oh yes. Yep.
In the sort of bright pink dress. She looks quite scary when she kicks off. Mm-hmm. But we don't actually see her much, do we? She's only really in that one little bit.
Yeah, well, she comes to an unsticky end. She gets electrocuted, doesn't she?
She gets electrocuted.
Yeah. Yeah, I think they were okay. I mean, the only complaint really, the acting skills, are never going to win any Oscars.
No.
But the complaint really is the campness of it, and it's got what's his name? Something Collins.
David Collins.
David
School
Collins.
of Acting.
But, they're challenging him for the theatricals there.
I think they might give him a good run for his money, actually. Yeah, because it's a shame because the head teacher guy at the start, he's got a sort of menacing edge to him, and I thought he's a bit over the top, but he is quite sort of good at the sort of bit sort of creepy. But then unfortunately, he seems to sort of get worse and worse in the sort of, like you said, the over the top campness seems to go up quite a few notches.
It does.
The more the story goes on, and he kind of loses the scariness and just becomes a bit of a sort of caricature of silliness. And I don't know, I felt he could have he would have been better if he'd have toned it down a bit.
So Tim Jeffrey is the IT or science teacher. Greg Blakeman is the head teacher, Mr. Blakeman. But Janine, the character who confronts or Sarah Jane confronts, she's quite creepy.
Yeah, I thought she was quite good.
Yeah, because Sarah Jane's like, Janine's like, I suggest that you leave. That threat, and she's like, yes. With this big smile
I
on her
like that,
face.
yeah. Yes, it is.
And then she unzips, and then all hell breaks loose.
Yeah, that was good, though. I liked that bit. Yeah,
it was all right. The adult Slitheen, I think, the human Slitheen, I think, not the greatest that we've seen, but it was never going to be the greatest, was it? Let's be honest.
No. Yeah. Question for you, though. Do you think the Slitheen look better or worse in this story? Do you, in terms of the way that they're shot and the costumes and stuff? Because they are we do get to see quite a lot of them in this. Like in World War III, there's a lot of running around and stuff, but I don't know. They do, they've got the blinking eyes stuff going on, and
yes, that's true. Yeah,
there are a bit. I feel we see just a little bit too much of the costume sometime in this. Like, I'm sure I could see, I don't know. I'm sure I could see the join in a couple of shots, between the sort of legs and the upper bit, and the chest. There's one costume where it's as if the actor doesn't quite fit in the costume. I don't know if you noticed, but the crease around the chest area just seems to have deflated. I don't know if you noticed that.
I didn't notice.
I kept thinking they sort of, it's as if they're not stood up straight, so the sort of rubber costumes folded over.
Oh, right.
I don't know. It's hard to explain. I'm sort of thinking it's as if the actor's a bit too short for it or something. But I do think they look good. Don't get me wrong. I still think they look good, but I don't know. They sort of slightly lose their scariness, I think, a little bit in this one.
Maybe that's by design. I think in the Doctor Who stories, I think Aliens of London, there's a couple of scenes where we get like the actors screams at the camera and we don't actually see the Slitheen, so it makes them a bit more scary.
Yeah.
So I think.
Do you think overall they look good in this?
I think they look okay. Yeah. I think they look okay. I think sort of costume little mishaps potentially aside, they do okay. I think, like I said, I think it was good going to get them running pretty fast down school corridors and so on. And the scene at the end where they're sort of trapped in the door and they're reaching through is pretty well done. And so I don't think they look bad, but I think Doctor Who or Sarah Jane Aliens have looked better.
Yeah.
I would say. I'm on the fence. I've got splinters in my bum. I realise that, but
no, I get what you mean. I have to say, I think there are moments in Aliens of London World War III where actually they look quite rubbery as well. Thinking about it, I know there's one bit where there's like a claw lifts up to sort of kill someone, and it looks really rubbery in that episode. I remember. So I think they look all right in this. I just wondered. Yeah,
they look all right. Yeah. Okay. What about Maria's mum and dad? They make a reasonably small appearance, but they're there nonetheless.
Yeah, I'm kind of glad you mentioned them actually, because I've noticed that they seem to have softened down the mum character, made her a bit more likable.
Yes.
In this, and she is only really in the end bit, but they give her a bit. They give her some sort of humorous lines, don't they? Because she's quite unlikable in the pilot, isn't she? She's very snooty. Yeah. She's comes in and she's very unlikable, but. Yeah, I can't remember what she says at the end now, but I remember thinking, they've started to soften her character and make her more, more likable, which is good because I think, I think it works better that way actually. Because I like the dad, Alan Jackson, played by Joseph Milson. I think he's quite good because he sort of he seems quite natural in the role. Mm-hmm. So although again he's not in it very much, I think when he's sort of chatting to Sarah Jane and he's comes out of a few little quips, I think he's quite good. So, Yeah, but I'm glad they've toned down Chrissy Jackson's character a bit. I think that's definitely the way to go with those two. You know?
Yes.
Yeah.
No, I agree with you. Yeah. But it does provide a little bit of a family life sort of point of view for Maria's character. Because after all, she is like a character outside of school as well as in school. So.
I was just going to say it's interesting because Clyde mentions that his family split up as well. So I wonder if is that going to lead somewhere? Is this the fact they've got that in common? I don't know. Yeah,
it sounds like it. So it's the other way around for him. He's with his mum, and his dad's nowhere to be seen. I think
he didn't seem to know his dad or something, did he? So that's we'll see if that leads anywhere.
Yeah. But yeah, so okay, let's talk about the main sort of younger team then.
Yeah.
So Maria, Luke, and Clyde. I think they gel together fairly well. I think it starts off with some sort of banter, if you like, from Clyde. He's new, Maria's new. They're all new at the school, aren't they?
Yeah.
So you've got Clyde, who seems like he's a bit more sort of streetwise, a bit more of a funny character. He's like the comic relief of the three of them, if you like. A bit more attitude. Maria's like the stable, not necessarily wants to do things properly, but, she's a bit more. And then Luke, you've got, if you didn't see Invasion of the Bane, you've got this strange teenager who's very awkward, doesn't know many what's going on, hasn't got many social skills, but they tend to sort of work toward. By the end of the story, I felt like they were a decent little team.
That's what I thought.
Yeah, they seem to work together, especially when they're in Sarah Jane's house and they've seen Mr. Smith, the big computer, and she's explained again to Clyde what's going on with aliens being real and everything, and Luke sort of it's like a bit of a learning step, if you like. It seems to me like, I'm just guessing, but it seems to me like as each story and series goes by, Luke gets a lot more sort of wiser to what's going on in the world and a bit more social. But yeah, I think by the end of it, they gelled pretty well together.
Yeah, I think they're really starting to come together quite nicely. Those, as you said, as this little team with Sarah Jane sort of in the middle as the adult figure. Yeah, I think they work very well together. As I said earlier, I think the acting from all those guys really, probably particularly Yasmin Page as Maria, I think she's the most natural in her performance. I think she's really good, especially the interaction with her dad, actually.
Yeah.
They work really well together. Luke's, Tommy Knight as Luke, I think is good. I mean, he's got to play this sort of, I don't really know what I'm doing kind of thing, which can, it can be difficult because it's like you've sort of got to act dumb without being dumb. But I think he's doing a decent job so far.
Yeah.
Clyde, Daniel Anthony, first story, introductory story for him. I think he's taken what he's got on the page and he's really gone with it because he's got to be this sort of cheeky, I'm the cool kid. And I thought he did a decent job for his first story. Yeah. So I think altogether, I think they are a cool little team. I quite like these guys. I'm rooting for them, which is always a good thing. Like Kelsey, who got dropped from the first series. We weren't really rooting for her, were we? We weren't really on her side particularly. We were like, God, she's annoying. Yeah. And the last thing you want is three bratty, annoying kids.
Absolutely.
As your lead. Whereas these guys, they're quite likable. They're very likable actually. So, yeah, I think they've got a good dynamic. These guys.
Yes, I agree. And I think so nothing against Kelsey's, the girl that played Kelsey from the pilot. No. It's always tough to sort of beat up on child actor performances, but I think not necessarily her fault, but the way that she was asked to play that character.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Just not likable at all. So, it would have been a tough call to bring her back for this, knowing that she wasn't a likable character. So it's good that she's been I guess she has been replaced in a way by Clyde, I suppose. That is the replacement though. But yeah, I agree with you. I think they do work well, and it will be good to see them in the next stories and moving forward. Because now we've got this kind of pseudo pilot character set up. Here's now the team thing out the way. It'd be good.
I was going to say, yeah, definitely, mate. And I was going to say, is it me or did Mr. Smith, the computer, did he look a bit different in this story? I wanted to go back and check. I'm sure they've altered him slightly from Invasion. No, I'm going to I meant to go back and check because he makes such a grand entrance and Clyde is like flabbergasted by him, which actually I don't think he would be. The kids today probably be like, "What's that load of junk?" But but I'm sure he looked a bit more souped up. I might be wrong, but I'm gonna next time I pop the disc in, I'm just gonna go back and check Invasion of the Bane. I'm sure he's been souped up a little bit. Hey, I've just realised as well, no K9.
No K9.
God, I've only just realised. Where's that cupboard that he's in?
Yeah, true. Yeah.
Oh no, he's still fighting back the black hole or whatever he's doing. Oh no. I hope he's in this somewhere. In this series. I don't know. I don't know if he is, but
I'm not sure. Yeah. Not sure.
Yeah.
Interesting to find out though.
I hope he does pop up again. Don't just leave him in that cupboard.
Like Harry Potter.
Yeah.
Okay, Sarah Jane and Liz Sladen.
Yeah.
I think our reviews are going to be very similar where it concerns her and her character, but I mean similar as in every time we review an SJA story. But she's got such. I think the good thing about Liz Sladen is that she's got such great consistency in regardless of what you watch her in. So even if you go back to like Pyramids of Mars and then watch her in this, there's no difference in her character at all. She's just consistent all the way through, in terms of her, not just her playing, the overall character of Sarah Jane, but just her mannerisms and, the way she laughs and the way that she does certain things. She's just Sarah Jane through and through, and it doesn't matter what you're watching her in. She's just great to watch. She's got this really cool kind of strong-headed streak about her, which we loved from the classic years. She's also got this vulnerability and this kind of empathy that she's got for certain things. Like she was really distraught at that bit where she thinks that Carl's been killed.
Yeah,
she really didn't want her to do that. So yeah, I just no complaints again from Liz Sladen. She's just brilliant as Sarah Jane.
I love that. I love the fact that she is that strong character. She's got an edge to her, isn't she? Because Sarah Jane's such a lovely character, and you think she's all sweet and nice, but she has got that strong backbone as well. So every now and again she'll throw something out there that you think, you wouldn't mess with her, because like she sort of gets crossed, doesn't she, that she's like, another one that I've got to take care of now, another responsibility. So she's a very rounded character. She's not just this sweet old lady that goes around, not like Super Granny that goes around solving the crime every week. She is a very rounded character, and Liz plays it very well. She's good at the sentimental stuff. She's good when she needs to be strong and all that sort of thing. And it does pick up very nicely from, because being set in a school, I did keep thinking of School Reunion, that sort of vibe of, the teachers are aliens thing. I was thinking that was one of my concerns actually when I first put this on, the first sort of 5-10 minutes, thinking, it's a bit similar to School Reunion. But, obviously Sarah Jane going into the school to sort it out, but that does kind of ease off. I'm just thinking actually, Gareth Roberts, he also wrote The Caretaker, didn't he, which was set in a school. Do you think if they've got a story set in a school, they're like, who can we get? I know, get Gareth on the phone, he's good at school stuff. But no, I think that picks up again very nicely from School Reunion in terms of the character and Sarah Jane, because she says at the end of that, doesn't she, she's like, I never had kids and that sort of thing. And then obviously in this story she's starting to realize that she's taken on with having Luke and stuff. So yeah, I think she does all that brilliantly. It's just a nice progression again of her story, and like you said, she could quite easily be the same Sarah Jane that we see in Pyramids of Mars or or Terror of the Zygons or whatever. So yeah, it's still the same character, but she's got older, she's got different responsibilities, and she's still doing her thing, and it's brilliant. Yeah,
no, it's good. She's well-rounded, as you say.
Yeah.
So the Slitheen did actually make a comeback very, very lightly after Aliens of London and stuff as an interactive episode.
Oh, really?
Called Attack of the Grask.
Oh, I've heard of that.
Yeah, it was on the Red Button and so on. And then when it finished, I think they put it on the Doctor Who website as a interactive episode that you could. Yeah, I don't know if it's still on the website.
I vaguely remember that. Yeah,
but that was written by Gareth Roberts as well.
Oh, okay. But it wasn't set in the school?
No.
Oh.
No more schools.
No more schools, no.
Yeah. Did you like the little nod to some other Who stuff in this? So when Sarah Jane's walking behind them up the corridor, she's like, "Thanks, Brig."
Yes.
Yep. Closes the phone, and then Clyde's like,
Unit will sort that out.
Yeah. She's like, Clyde's like, "What's Unit then?" So we get that nice little nod in there.
Oh, he gets a good line. What does he say? He's like,
so it's a bit like,
"What's Unit? A furniture store?" And I thought that was quite funny.
Yeah. So that little scene there, just that little bit where Sarah Janes gets off the phone, she's like, "Cheers, Brig," and they mention Unit, and that's that little bit there.
Yeah.
Those are the little bits that were missing from Class.
Oh, God, in abundance.
Do you know what I mean by that?
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
So, you know how I know that we've bashed Class endlessly now, but I really feel like if they'd have just included more little bits like that, and not just because it was a bit like cracking an egg with a nuclear bomb. You know, it was like, let's get Capaldi in for this sort of mega cameo.
Yeah.
And then we're not going to even mention Doctor Who for the entire series. You know, they should have just done away with a cameo, but just have these little nuggets in each story that sort of link the two worlds properly together. It would have been a bit more coherent, but...
Yeah, it's actually, I've just thought of another little nod as well, because we see our favourite, RTD's favourite newsreader, don't we? That American lady. She pops up and I'm like, oh, it's her. You know, a very, again, just a little tiny little thing just to bring it back into the same universe. I thought they might have given her a name by now, but she's just credited as American newsreader.
That's true. Yeah.
But I love it when she pops up because I'm like, oh, here she is. Just to help the story along, giving us a little update. Yeah.
Yeah.
But no, I know what you mean. It's good to have those little nods.
It is. Yeah.
You know.
Anything you want to mention before we get our scores done and dusted?
No, I think we've covered it. I like. I want to get myself a Sonic lipstick.
For the handbag, of course.
Yeah, for the handbag, of course, because it does save the day. But no, I think we pretty much covered it, mate. I just thought it was a fun watch. Enjoyed it.
I like the theme for Sarah Jane Adventures.
Yeah, I bet you were humming it after you turned the DVD off as well, because I was.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was cooking and going diddle diddle diddle.
Yeah, it does have that more sort of younger audience feel to it. But I don't know. It does set you up for like a cool adventure about to begin. It
does, and it's got the sting, isn't it? It's got an intro sting and an outro sting that takes you into it, like Doctor Who. I love that.
Yeah, it's good. Right, I think it's my turn to go first.
On then.
And I'm going to give this one. I'm going to give this one another 7. Same for the Invasion of the Bane. I think it's. It's not. I can't score it any higher for it to be like sort of classic, or instant modern classic episode or anything. But I think it's definitely an enjoyable watch. A bit more childlike, but still entertaining and a good watch.
7, eh? I'm giving it a 7 as well because I absolutely agree. I thought it was just as enjoyable, no more, no less than the Invasion of the Bane. I think it's just I could quite happily put it back on now and just have it on in the background. It's just a fun, enjoyable watch. So yeah, 7 for me.
Good.
Yes.
Good. Right, what did our lovely listeners think? We got an audio clip in this week.
Yay!
Because as you guys know, if you've been keeping up on Twitter and Facebook, we've opened up the audio clips again. So this is from Lewis Palmer.
Hello to the Bibby Box podcast. So, Revenge of the Celine, probably the most childish episode of the Sarah Jane Adventures ever. It's all very fun and over the top. Turn off the sun, it's all very good. The Celine I actually think work better in the Sarah Jane Adventures than they do in Doctor Who. They work better in that childish setting. It's just the school setting's a lot of fun. It's nice to be introduced to Clyde, who will now be in every episode of the Sarah Jane Adventures until the final one. What more is there to say? It's just a fun story. Not one of the best of the show, as I say, probably the most childish, but it's a fun, proper intro for the show after Invasion of the Bane. We get to see Sarah Jane becoming more accustomed to her role as Luke's mother. Yeah, it's all very fun and kiddie and silly and nice, and I do enjoy this story, so I'll probably give it a 7 out of 10. See you next time, guys.
7.
Cheers, Lewis. Another 7 there.
7. Yes. Okay, let's see what our Twitter friends thought on the old poll. 87 likey.
87, that's good.
Yeah, 13% said stinky.
Oh.
Only a few there, so that's overall pretty good.
Yeah.
We had some thoughts on Twitter as well. Cindy Lou Hoovian said it's quite enjoyable. In some ways, a light version of School Reunion.
Yeah.
Yeah, it says Clyde is an excellent addition to the team, much better than the annoying Kelsey from the pilot. If memory serves, we also get an ominous hint that Mr. Smith is not what he seems.
Oh, yeah, there is something there. Yeah.
There is, isn't there?
There's something.
Yeah. Silent Nerd C137 says it's the introduction to favourite character in SGA, which is Clyde Langer.
Oh.
Always a pleasure to see a Raxacori Phalapatorian. They are hugely underrated species, and I love them, and I still want them to return to Who. 8 out of 10.
Oh, 8 out of 10. That's good.
Yeah, Dan the Man in a Big Red Van says one of my favourite SJ episodes, as it was one of my first ones.
Ah.
I read you.
Yeah.
I read you. Rotide says a brilliant SJ episode. I love the whole scheme the Slovene had. It really worked, and it was a great episode and a great intro to one of my favourite characters, Clyde. Another Clyde fan.
A lot of love for Clyde.
Yeah, loved how the Slovene treated one another. I found it funny. They had a good job in appealing to a younger audience. I also love how we see both Sarah Jane and Luke develop as characters, and Sarah Jane not comfortable with being called Mum, which is something I love. Overall, an amazing episode. 9.98 out of 10. Very nice. TARDIS Files HQ says a great story, but ruined by the over-the-top performances by some characters. But aside from that, you've still got great performances by the main cast and a cracking little story. 7.5. And lastly on Twitter, Morgan Gallifreyan Hoovian says an excellent episode. Nice introduction to Clyde Langer. Seeing the Slovene again was a real treat for me, as they're some of my fave 2005 plus monsters. It could have done without the farting being so prominent every minute, though. He gives it a precise 7.6.
Very precise.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sammy Satine from Down Under says, so...
Hello, Sammy.
Our Raxacori Phalapatorian farting green alien friends are back. I kind of miss them. Yes, they were never the scariest, but they look pretty frightening, and their plans, like this one, were pretty elaborate, but it was... much always destroy the earth for profit. Luckily, we can just thwart them with some vinegar.
Yeah.
I give it 7 vinegar bottles out of 10.
I love it.
Over on Facebook, Luke Allen says, I have a recent but interesting story about this one, which I leave in place of my review.
Okay.
I have a 3-year-old cousin who will rarely sit down and watch anything quietly, like many his age. He was in my bedroom while looking after him, and he came across my cabinet of Doctor Who figures and the Slovene figure. He started asking me questions about it. Is it scary? Is it funny? Etc. And then finally, the words every Whovian wants to hear. Can you put it on the TV?
Yay!
So I went downstairs, asked my aunt's permission, and we put it on. He was very quiet all the way through and seemed to understand it. Other than the fact that the character is called Luke, so he thinks it's me. Now, when he comes to our house, he passes me the remote and says, can you put the Slovene on?
Oh.
Hope this isn't too long and you can read it out instead of my review. Of course, Luke. That's a really cool little story.
I love that. I absolutely love that.
How cool.
Yeah, brilliant.
A nice way to get your little cousin into Who. Because I imagine as he grows older and you spend more time with him, that'll be like your thing. Like, let's watch Who.
Yeah.
Because of the cool aliens. Nice one.
That's brilliant.
Jamie Ackley says it's a triumph.
Oh.
The story itself is so perfectly contained, none of the recent era timey-wimey shenanigans. You get just one clear, well-told adventure. The Slovene work much better here with the child-friendly tone. Relationship between Sarah Jane and Luke is handled well. Both not sure how to establish their new roles with each other. Sweet, simple and cheerful. Great stuff. 8 out of 10.
Awesome.
Yeah, I agree with that, Jamie. Lewis Blackmore says, a continuation of the fantastic work done reintroducing her character in School Reunion, Invasion of the Bane. This story tells, really does start SJA series off with a bang. Liz Sladen is at her very best among some stellar work from the supporting cast. However, this does fall into the trap of being too comical at times, But that is understandable, as it's only just a beginning to find its feet. 7.5.
Cool.
Dean Jones. Just watched this story for the first time, and it's not as good as the previous story, but still fairly decent. Liz Sladen is excellent as ever, with the Sarah and Luke relationship being really sweet. Maria is still a likeable protagonist, and Clyde was a decent addition. 7 out of 10. Sir Jacob Birtwistle. Tricky one. While I like the overall story, I can't help but feel this is why the Slitheen never returned in Doctor Who, because SJA made them unscary. And that's a word I like. And if that's a word, I like Clyde's introduction in this, although he does seem a little cringy. And of course, Elizabeth steals the show. 7 out of 10.
Okay.
Joseph Howarth. This show continues to get better and better every day because it's an enjoyable watch. Maria and Luke are still on top form, and Clyde is way better than Kelsey, as he's a lot more down to earth, more relatable. Sarah Jane and co are discussing about what they should do to stop the Slitheen. He comes up with the little gem. We bomb the school. Forgot about that. He had been stitches with that. As for the Slitheen, they are another story altogether. On one hand, I didn't really like them seriously in Doctor Who, and it's pretty much the same here in this episode. Indifferent, and they got way too cartoony in this when they already were kind of cartoony to begin with. Sorry, guys, I just don't believe that they are menacing at all.
Oh, okay.
That's cool. It goes on to give it a 7.5. George Puddy. So, Revenge of the Slitheen. I didn't enjoy this one.
George.
The Slitheen are so stupid and hammy that you couldn't make 12 ham sandwiches for each person in London for each day 13 months. They were just not threatening and really cringy. The main cast were fine. Clyde is a nice addition, but this episode made me think that this is a kids show more than any other. I give it a 2 out of 10.
Oh, Mr. Puddy. Stick with it, mate. Stick with it.
Yeah. Miles Mackenzie. Overall, a strong, decent story. Feeling a little dated to me. The cast were great and a good introduction. I love how we had a Who monster in it to create the strong link. The baby Slitheen got on my nerves, though. Overall, 7 out of 10.
I love the baby Slitheen.
Yeah. Jason Thayer. Sarah Jane ruined the Slitheen. They stopped being scary once you realise kids could defeat them. And lastly, Luke East, very short and sweet, just says, great to see the Slitheen back on our screens.
Yeah, I think so.
There we go. Do you have a couple over on the Geek's Handbag?
Yeah, I had a couple, yeah. So Patrick Sherwood just thinks it's an okay episode, but not one of the best, and gives it an 8 out of 10. Zach Jenkins says it's a decent enough story, and it's good to see the Slitheen again. He gives it 7 out of 10, same as us. And Charlie Turner says, a good episode, but 2 nitpicks, and I would consider them big. Number 1, I don't like how every episode of the series after Invasion of the Bane was a 2-parter. He says it's a spin-off, it's not Doctor Who. Number 2, the title, calling it the story of Revenge of Slitheen sounds like Sarah Jane had encountered the Slitheen before, but as far as he can tell, she hasn't. So he finds it a bit of an odd title, basically. Says prefer them in the series rather than Doctor Who, surprisingly, and he gives it an 8 out of 10. So he still thinks it's quite good, but it's got a few issues with the title and the fact that all the Sarah Janes are a 2-parter. Thing is, though, I don't mind their 2-parters because they're still only 50 minutes, even if you watch them back to back. So, you know, I that's which is what I do. But yeah, okay. I take your point though, Charlie. Yeah.
Cool.
That's it for Geek Soundbag.
Nice one. So I would say overall, then, fairly positive on that. There's a few clangers in there, but you can't please everyone.
No, exactly, mate.
You know, you're not going to please every Who fan ever. That's never going to happen.
It's never going to happen. And I like the fact that so far these first 2 episodes have been a 7, because I consider 7 consistent. It's not bad. It's not amazing. It's just good. So I'm really sort of keen to see how the scores go with this Sarah Jane series and Torchwood. But so far we're consistent, aren't we?
Yes, we are.
Yeah.
Next week, Classic Who. What we got?
Classic Who, bit of 4th Doctor Tom Baker. The Mask of Mandragora. I knew I wasn't going to be able to say it. Is that right? The Mask of Mandragora.
That's it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's because for years I called it Mandragora, and I've no idea why. Anyway, there you go. 4th Doctor next week.
Yeah. Coincidentally, not on purpose, That's a Fourth Doctor and Sarah Jane story.
Yes, yeah.
Little 4-parter from the 70s.
Raxacori. Talking of pronunciations, I'm still trying to say that. Raxacori.
There you go.
Is that it?
Raxacori. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, yeah, sorry, I just had it in front of me. But yeah, Fourth Doctor next week, that'd be cool. Sarah Jane. And what's in that one? Things with big gold masks. Port Merion.
Yep. Helix Energy,
yeah.
I think it's set in Italy, isn't it, some of it?
Yeah, I was going to say it's filmed in Port Merion, isn't it? I remember.
Yes.
Prisoner territory. Yeah, be cool.
Yeah. Quite an intricate story, that one. Quite a lot of stuff going on.
Yeah.
So that'll be good to watch that one again. And I think we'll do there for 186.
Okay.
Thank you so much for sticking with us and listening to 185. It's been very cool to finally have some news, even if it is just a little bit. And thank you all so much for giving us your reviews and thoughts on Sarah Jane, Revenge of the Slovene. And thank you, Lewis, for your audio review. So just a quick reminder to everyone else, the audio reviews are open. You can send them in. We'll play them out on the show for you. But the usual rules apply, and we will be stricter this time. So it can't be longer than 1 minute. Can't be longer than a minute. If it's longer than a minute, it won't get played. Simple as
that.
Yes. So thank you very much for that. So yeah, get the Mask of Mandragora watch. We want your reviews and stuff on that. You can send your reviews in. Just watch out for the posts that go out on Facebook and Twitter on a Monday. Or you can email them in, or whatever you want to do. We welcome it all.
Yes.
Yes, our fan community. It's very, very cool. In the meantime, though, head over to the website, www.bigblueboxpodcast.co.uk. You can listen to all of our previous shows on there. Plus, you can link off to all of the podcast networks and all of the social networks. So you give us a like and a subscribe and a follow and all that stuff. And if you listen to any podcasts on your phone or iPad or computer, whatever, just do a search for us in whatever app you use. So, just do a search for Big Blue Box Podcast. We're on Spotify as well, Google Music, the whole lot. Just do a search and you'll find us on there. And if you're an iTunes listener, if you could give us a review and a rating, that would be awesome, because that really helps us on there. Also, head out to YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, all that stuff for Adam's channel, The Geek's Handbag.
Oh, The Geek's Handbag, yeah. Go and have a look at the special weapons Dalek. He's awesome, isn't he?
That's very cool.
We've both got him. He's lovely.
So, yeah, give Adam a subscribe and over on YouTube, and plus all the social stuff. Loads of stuff over there, which is will satisfy your geek viewing for a couple of hours. Some great stuff there. So next week, 186, Mask of Mandragora. Looking forward to that one. Just a quick reminder again, audio reviews are open. Get those recorded and into us, and we'll play them on the show. So until then, my name's Gary.
My name's Adam.
And remember...